what we're about to experience is expansion because we've been doing the work, right? You have been doing the work. That harvest, I've been speaking a lot about the harvest coming in. The rewards are coming, right? Love, light, and peace. I have several things to share today. However, before I jump into that, how rude am I, right? How are you? I will that you are experiencing a peaceful, productive, and positive day. I will that this video finds you exactly when you need it. And let's get right into it, okay? Because I have several ideas that have been coming in, and I feel like they're gonna ground in the video. I feel like they've been coming in for me to hit record. So here I am hitting record. Yesterday I went to the water. Because I figured I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do what I do at the water, and I'm gonna have some time to commune, right? I get to the water and it starts drizzling. It's already drizzling a little bit on the way there, but I'm not too pressed because, you know what I'm saying? A little water from nature is good, right? So I get out the car and I noticed the temperature dropped significantly. Like, it was like a fall day yesterday and we're still in summer, right? So I say to myself, okay, I'm not going to sit out here too long, but I'm going to still sit out here. I go to sit on the bench and it's wet, like wet. So that's okay. So I walk up to the edge right there that, you know, protects us from falling in the water or getting pushed into the water. And I look and there's 4 ducks swimming. And they're like just floating and gliding. And once it gets in front of me, I look down and I see the little webbed feet doing what it does underneath the water. And it was putting in that work, baby. Like, putting in that work to stay afloat, right? To stay afloat and look graceful, right? And then the message started coming in and landing. And I did do a TikTok video, so this video probably is going to be long. If it is, you want a shorter, condensed version, go over to my TikTok, Shine Your Light 777, and you can receive that message. And I have something on the screen about duck medicine and the 4s. So that's how you know it's the message. I don't remember what I had on yesterday, unfortunately. I don't remember. I just remember my bottoms. I don't remember my top right now. However, yes, that's what's on the screen. So the message started coming in, right? About there are going to be people, and there already are people who are going to see you, who see you. And they only see the surface of what's happening with you, right? And for some of us, they only see the surface of what's happening with us that we let them see, right? They don't even get to see the full scope of what's happening on the surface. However, they don't see what's happening in the unseen. They don't see the divine unfolding. They don't see your spirit team. They don't see your guides. They don't see the Most High Source, your ancestors. They don't see any of them, right? That's backing you, that's supporting you, that's assisting and propelling what it is that's being seen in the physical. They don't even know the steps that it took to get you where you are right now, let alone where you going, right? Where you're at right now is not your final destination, and I need somebody to understand that. And here go the energy. Where you are right now is not your final destination. Take that in, breathe that in, repeat that to yourself, because where you are right now is only a tip of the iceberg. Where you're going is going to surprise even you. And you've been walking the path. You've been planting the seeds, sowing the seeds, watering the seeds, pulling the weeds. You've been doing the inner child work. You've been healing and forgiving and releasing, right? You've been making peace with your past. You have been the one taking all of the steps, doing all the work, going through hibernation, isolation, being separated from your family, your friends, all those that you thought were in your corner. And even you are going to be surprised, right? So imagine how people who thought that they did their big one when they didn't support you, when they didn't answer the phone for you the same way that you answered for them, when they didn't show up to support you, when they seen that you were on the verge of drowning and they had the opportunity, the means, the wherewithal, and the ability to help you, and chose not to. Imagine how those people are going to feel when you step into the fullness of who you are. Or not even the fullness. However, it becomes more visible to people, right? Who you are, your purpose, and what you came here for. The business that you've been sowing seeds for, the dreams and visions that you've been cultivating, right? And you've been taking the steps to bring into fruition, or simply just trusting in your divine path and trusting the messages that you've been receiving from the Most High, right? They're going to be so confused, right? Because they've only been able to see the surface. They weren't seeing what was happening beneath the surface, what was happening at the essence of it. So that's the first message for the collective. The second message is that there were 4, right? And more is coming in now. Okay. All right. There were 4. At first, on the TikTok, the first message that I received was that someone needs to look up the spiritual meaning of 4. Look into the numerology of 4. The frequency and the vibration of 4. What came through to me in that message was 4 being the foundation. And 4 bearing witness, right? 4 is the bear witness number, right? So what's coming in now is no longer are you going to be alone, right? Your soul tribe, collaborations, family, right? Like the family that you choose, the family that you select and that selects you, your soul family, right? From your lineage, like past life contracts, past life agreements, collaborations on multiple levels, seen and unseen, divine partnerships, divine unions, expansion. The four ducks represented expansion. Wow, spirit. Wow, I got the chills and the tingles. The energy is so rich. Yes, expansion, right? So that's an extension of what is coming in, right? Like what we're about to experience is expansion because we've been doing the work, right? You have been doing the work. That harvest. I've been speaking a lot about the harvest coming in. The rewards are coming, right? Yes. So that was that message, right? There was a little bit more that was shared, but you could go to the TikTok for that because there's more coming in now. So I was at an event. On Sunday, and I was there to support my sister, beautiful queen, and I was engaging as I am, right? I showed up in the space as I am, and I did what I do, and the energy of one particular brother called to me. So I went to go respond to see why was it calling me, right? It was calling me. So I went to go answer, like, what's up? What's going on? So I asked a slew of questions, and he had such a great spirit and energy about him. He engaged with all my questions, which caused me to know that it was divine alignment, because some people, they kind of like, when they're not ready, they kind of like, put up an energetic wall, energetic barrier. However, he was open, and we engaged, and there was much that was expressed. However, this is the part that Spirit wanted me to share with the collective. It resonates that it's important for me to share this part. I shared with him in our dialogue. I was asking a series of questions, and I end up sharing with him that it's time to come out of hiding, right? It's time for us to step into the roles, the positions, the placements that are ours, right? By design, from our essence. That's where I belong. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, because that's what I agreed to do before I even got here. That's what my gifts that I've been cultivating across lifetimes, across timelines, has prepared me for this very moment to step into that position. So I share with him that it's time, because the placeholders that think they are actually the ones need notice. They need to be made aware that it is time for them to step down. It is time for them to remove themselves, to be properly relieved from the position that was never theirs. They were a stand-in, they were a fill-in until the real person showed up. It reminds me of how when people take leave at their jobs, right? They bring in temporary workers to hold the position, to make sure that everything still runs to a workable rhythm, right? It never really runs the way that it would run if the original person was there, but it runs enough to where things don't fall apart in the person's absence, right? And then there's other people around that belong there that help support the person so that they don't muck the whole thing up, right? That's in essence what has been taking place. And it's funny because I think I did a TikTok about this as well. I don't speak a lot about what I see, right? Because I feel like it's not always necessary, right? And I understand the power of my words and the power of my thoughts. So I choose to gear my thoughts, my words, and my power towards the remembrance of the collective, of planet Earth. I choose to utilize my power towards the grounding and the evolution of New Earth and all of what my purpose entails. However, just because a person doesn't speak on a thing doesn't mean that they don't see a thing, right? So I mentioned sometime before about the idea that there are many people in the spiritual community or consider themselves to be like gurus or elite or heads or leaders or coaches or all of these titles, that their energy is off, right? I'm not saying that they don't help people, because the frequencies that align with that will be attracted to that, right? However, there are also some energies that are innocent, and they are not as attuned and sharp with the energetic frequency of things, right? They're being heart-led because they want solutions. They want answers. They want guidance and support along their journey, because this spiritual journey is a lot. It's most certainly a lot, and it can be very challenging. So it's very natural that those people are attracting all frequencies, all kinds of people, all different expressions. However, it doesn't change the fact that their frequencies are off, right? And because of that, they are showing that they are the temporary placeholders. So there's many of us that really have to, if we haven't already, really wrap our mind around the fact that we're going to be in a position to really assist a lot of people. And yes, Spirit. So I created a guide. Not even a guide. It's not a guide. Well, I did create a guide. Okay. I created a guide, and it is to assist in identifying or going deeper into your journey, your path of remembering who you are and why you came here. And it is to assist in the divine alignment, the awakening of your heart, the reawakening of your heart, the alignment to source within you, because we are all emanations of source. You are an embodiment. You are an embodiment of source. I am an embodiment of source. We are both two unique expressions of source in the physical body. So this guide is to support you. I speak about the things that I did that helped me get to the place of my knowing, my remembering of past lifetimes, of my gifts, my abilities, and my purpose, and the multidimensionality of my purpose. Now, we're all different. You know, some of us have singular purposes, some have multiple, you know, so I'm only sharing my experience, right? However, this guide was birthed during my hibernation, because hibernation, isolation, is a part of the process. You have to get with yourself. I call it getting with yourself. You have to get with yourself to be reacclimated with who you are, not who the world condition you to be, not who your experiences condition you to be, not who you had to become in survival mode to make it to the point of recognizing the necessity for healing, right? The necessity to release the costumes, release the impressions that was made on you that were never yours to begin with, right? A lot of us are carrying trauma and distortions that were never ours. They were given to us from our parents, from our family lineage, from relationships, from people that we met who were intimidated by our light, who wanted to dim our light, who wanted to siphon and steal our light. So it helps with all of that. It really does assist you. And even if everything doesn't resonate with you, there is something in there that resonates with you. I go into, and I touch briefly on these ideas. However, I do go into astrology, human design, emotion code, body code, divine feminine, masculine, divine masculine, divine feminine. I go into that quite a bit. However, I speak about it from the standpoint of divine masculine and feminine energy within us. And then I go into it outside of us. What it looks like when it's not in balance within us. What it looks like when it is in balance, right? So it's so much in this particular guide. So if it resonates with you, I encourage you to check it out. And it's on my Ko-fi page. It's available for you to check it out over there. And so, yeah, I'll say the link is there, and the link might be in the description of this video as well. I also created I actually channeled, downloaded transmissions, and compiled it into what is called the Builder's Scroll, the Builder's Blueprint Scroll. And they are activations within this scroll for those who recognize that I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world, right? I feel like I'm here to do something, but I don't really know what I'm here to do, right? Or I know I'm great and I'm here to do something great, and you may have an idea of what that is. You may already have a roadmap and a schematics already laid out. However, you just don't feel ready, right? You may feel nervous. You may feel scared, right? You may feel like you're unprepared. You may still be dealing with some residual energy from past lifetimes of not wanting to be seen, because in prior lifetimes when you were seen, people got hurt. You know, you may have gotten hurt. Your family may have gotten hurt. The people that you were here to help and support and hold space for may have gotten hurt. So that scroll is to assist in shifting your energy, elevating your frequency, and recognizing that it's time. It's time for you to be who you are and no longer hide in the shadows. And it's interesting because I was the individual where I was always called to the front for something, right? Like when I was in school and, you know, it was somebody who, you know, the teacher wanted to choose someone to read out loud in class. I would, at one point I used to volunteer, but then after a while, you know, you get teased and teachers pet and all this and all that. So I stopped volunteering. But then it got to the point where as I got older as an adult, people would volunteer me to do and be and show up And it would be me coming to the front, like to be in the light. And I always appreciated being in the backdrop, right? Like I didn't mind being behind the curtains. I didn't have to be on the stage. As long as I was a part of the crew and I got to help bring the vision into fruition, that made my heart happy, right? Because I got to assist and support and be present and have the experience under my belt of accomplishing and doing X, Y, and Z. However, it's time to be in the forefront, to be in the light, hence me making these videos with a level of consistency where I'm showing up authentically, right? Not that I feel like I have to. However, if I'm gonna be me, this is what resonates for me to do. And it's been resonating since 2020, 2019. So you may be feeling the same way in your own experience. You don't have to make videos. It could be putting your art out. It could be putting your inventions out. It could be creating some system or something. Like it's so many different avenues. However, the builders, the creators, the innovators, the scientists, the architects, any part of building new, right? You may see a problem or issue in the world that needs to be solved, and you have the inspiration, the energy within you to be a part of that solution. You look at it and you say, oh, if we do boom, 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 da 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 da, then this is the result, right? That's who I'm talking to. That's who I'm here for, right? I'm grateful for everybody that resonates with the energy, right? And I know that many seeds will be planted, and I may never get to see the fruition of what is yielded from those seeds. However, I trust that whomever comes across these videos, that they're going to receive what it is that they need at that time. And if they were to revisit it at a later time, they will receive even more. So I'm grateful for that. And I know that to be true. However, I also know that there are ones that need support, that are supposed to be doing something, that are supposed to be in the front, on the front lines. They're part of the forerunners, right? There are a collective that is forging forward first to make the way for others. Others need to know that it's safe. It's safe to show up authentically. It's safe to lead with your heart. It's safe to be balanced in your giving, right? It's safe to simply be. It's safe to come out of survival mode, right? It's safe. And the examples, the forerunners will emit a frequency that allows others to know that safety is here. Safety is real. And then there's ones amongst us that can assist in guiding and supporting and holding space as the collective that is a part of this vibration goes through the process of shedding and releasing and acknowledging and becoming aware and remembering, right? I have how do I want to say it? I have a vision, a reality that I have been cultivating, and it will provide a space for people to come to experience the energy that allows for them to feel safe, that will allow for them to regulate their nervous system so that they can put down the armor, right? Long enough to hear their higher self or hear their heart speak to them. Our hearts have something to say. And what I've come to know in my journey of awakening is that our heart holds the key to the vision, to the memories, so that we can ground and make tangible the feelings and the energy that we experience, right? And I'll give an example. My mom and my dad have passed on. And they've been gone for over 25 years. My mom has been gone. And my dad has been gone about 29 years. So I don't have my parents to ask about what did I enjoy doing when I was little, right? Because a lot of our answers to help support us in navigating our road of remembrance, our journey to self, is remembering the things that we enjoy to do as children, and then start doing them again as adults, so we can experience the joy, so we can experience the childlike glee, so we can experience the freedom and the innocence that we once possessed before the world dirtied us up, right? Before the experiences of being on earth tainted our view, right? Put all these layers on us. Beneath those layers is still that child. So because my parents are not here and I wasn't able to ask them those things, then I had to start from my most earliest memories. And in me doing so, I was able to go on that path and do the things that brought me happiness, that brought me joy, that brought me freedom. And in me doing that, each step that I took brought me closer and closer to understanding the vision that the Most High showed me. And it's so amazing because sometimes we only get a glimpse. I mean, like a glimpse, like you blink your eye and whatever you saw when your eyes was closed is all you got. And I saw the vision. However, I didn't understand, like, what did I do to get me to where I was at in the vision, right? Like, it was almost like I seen the end result, and it wasn't even the end, but it was like, it was a snapshot of a moment on my journey where I was living in my purpose on a large scale. However, I didn't even know like what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know. So I picked a starting point and I started there, and I continued to take one step and one step and one step, and always utilizing my inner compass as my guide, right? I did what resonated with me, even when it looked crazy to other people, even when other people was telling me, you know, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? It's like at some point on the journey, we have to realize that we are not here to please other people. And I'm sorry to say, that includes your mama, that includes your daddy, that includes your children, that includes your spouse. Like, we are not here to make them happy. We are here to discover what makes us happy so that we can remember who we are. In our happiness, we're able to regulate and release things that we didn't even realize needed to be regulated and released, right? A lot of the things that I was doing when I was in hibernation, I was doing them because they resonated. I did not have an understanding of the bigger picture of what was happening. It wasn't until time had gone, like I think it was like 2 years in, is where I started to really see, right? Like, I had some idea, you know, after about a year, but it wasn't until 2 years in where I really started to see, because the physical started reflecting to me the results of what I was doing. And I was just like, what? Like, I was really doing that? And it was so much reassurance that I was experiencing. It was so much satisfaction in knowing that what I was doing was actually working. Because when I tell you I was digging deep in the spiritual work, like, I was deep, like, and someone who doesn't have a spiritual base looking on really would have thought that I was crazy. Like, there were periods in time my daughter was really concerned. Like, she thought at one point I was depressed. And it wasn't that I was depressed. It was that my body had been in go mode, in survival mode, hustling, go mode for like 3 years straight, right? And then prior to that, I was under so much pressure and weight. And I had been experiencing and absorbing so much energy from people directing their lower frequency energy at me as the scapegoat, as like the reason to why they were experiencing what they were experiencing, bypassing their own process of acknowledgement and holding self accountable for the decisions that they made, that energetically I was tired. And then couple that with the following 3 years of, and so that was 3 years, right? And then you add the spiritual 3 years, then the physical 3 years. I was spiritually drained, spiritually tired, and then physically I was exhausted. Now, mind you, even when I was going through the 3 years physically, I was still spiritually going through. I was at war. Let's just keep it a stat. Spiritually, for those 3 years when I was physically grinding, hustling and bustling, I was at war spiritually. And I didn't even understand the magnitude of what was taking place. I understood a level and a degree of it. And I understand now. I wasn't ready to understand the fullness of it, right? Like, it would have been overload. It would have been an overload for me. And I don't know how I would have responded. All I know is that I'm grateful for the divine unfolding, and that my spirit team was able to support me and willing to support me as I continue to take the steps. And they know the perfect time to allow information to trickle in, to allow the awareness to come in at the time that we need it. Oftentimes it's because we're presenting that we're ready in one shape, form, or fashion. So for 6 years, right, I had gone through spiritual abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual siphoning, energetic siphoning. I really think that people was trying to swap destinies with me. People were trying to, the purpose of why I'm here. And that's another thing, right? There's people on your journey that can see you. They may not be able to see every detail, but they see from the way you move, the way you navigate, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, your energy, the way you love, right? The way you care about people, right? The way you do things without wanting anything in return. You do things from your heart. Not for the money, not for the fame, the glory, not for the recognition. You do it because it resonates in your spirit. That stands out to people, because little did I know, you might be like me, there's not a lot of people operating out here like that. So when we come across people who don't operate like that, we stand out to them and they start paying attention to us. Some people like to mimic us, you know. It really can get very vast, you know, in the expression of this, because people mimic you. People tap into your energy. They take your kindness for weakness, and they try to siphon your gifts. I'll share this because it came in so clearly. Spirits want me to share it. So there was a time where I was receiving a DNA activation. There was a woman that I was familiar with from a time of being in the spiritual university that I affectionately call a long period of time, where I was in a rigorous spiritual evolution, right? Didn't know it at the time that's exactly what it was, but I did know that it was spiritual. I did know it was a part of my spiritual path. I digress. I signed up to be a part of her DNA activation. And when I was doing it, I've always been tapped into the unseen. I just didn't know that's what it was called. But I've been tapped in consciously since I was a teenager. And when I was participating in the activation, it was a part where we had to do a meditation, where we had to close our eyes and we had to lay down. And she was saying some things, right? She was saying some things. And the vibration of what she was saying didn't sound like it was of the light. It did not sound like it was of the light. The frequency, I'm not talking about her words, the frequency did not sound like it was of the light. And I remember having that thought. Then I remember there was 2 beings, actually 3 beings that showed up. There was one at the head behind me laying on the couch. There was one at the foot of me, and there was one on the side of me. And the next thing I know, I lose consciousness. But I wake up at the end of it, right? Years later. Well, oh, wait, let me rewind. So that's complete. There was a part to the DNA activation where she would teach us remote viewing. She was teaching, well, she didn't call it remote viewing, but that's what it was. She was teaching us how to project, or how to project our consciousness through a holographic form into another space, right? Which in essence is remote viewing, really. But nevertheless, so she was walking me through it. And I did it. I saw her sitting in her sit-in kitchen in her beautiful house in Florida with the glass doors that lead out to the backyard where the patio was at. She had her laptop on the table. When I said something specific that let her know that I could see her, she closed the channel. She closed the channel, right? So we had some more conversation about that. That was the end of that. Years later, so that had to have been, so I want to say about 2 or 3 years later, I was having a conversation with someone who also had access to the unseen that was channeling. They were utilized as a host for unseen beings to speak through. And in this particular conversation, they had referenced, the unseen had referenced that my power, my gifts were, this exact statement was, I almost gave my gift away. And this particular gift is that was being referred to as I'm a healer. And that particular gift is what was being referred to. And at the time, I didn't understand, like, how. So, long story short, it was exposed to me, brought to my conscious awareness. So then, years later after that, I had more experiences with the unseen that bear witness to that idea that she, in fact, was trying to siphon my healing abilities. Right? And in her siphoning my healing abilities, that it would give her more, how do I want to say? It would be like if the battery is low and you plug it up to the outlet and you get more juice, more current, then the battery level rises. So now you got more, you look like a stronger battery, right? So it's that same principle. And I have other experiences that I've had, but that's the one that comes to mind right now, that people really do see your light. They see your gifts and they try to siphon them. They try to steal them. They try to take them for their own. And you may have your own experience. And that may be why Spirit wanted me to share it, for you to have a confirmation that what you think happened, or what you think is happening, it actually is. And it's so important for us to not ignore what resonates in us as truth, right? There's so many times where I've had a thought about something or energy about something that I ignored because on the surface, it was like, Robyn, you can't even prove that. So I'm a Virgo. So, however, my rising sign is in my 12th house. My 12th house, which is my 12th house is Neptune. Neptune is in my 12th house, right? So, needless to say, I have spirituality, divine connection, and logical and reasoning going at the same time, right? And sometimes they butt heads. Well, they used to anyway in my development. They used to butt heads. And because I couldn't prove the spiritual side, I would lean into my logical side and I would rationalize what was happening, what was presented, what I was feeling, what I experienced. Now I trust my intuition. It's so important to trust your intuitive nudges, to trust the omens, to trust the things that resonate and speak to you, because it's happening for a reason. And we have a whole slew of support in the unseen that we're not able to see, that is always attempting to communicate with us, that's always attempted to support us. And then at different stages and places on our journey, there are specific like committees, there's specific councils that are responsible for that particular frequency and vibration, right? That we are elevating into, that are there to support us and to guide us and hold space for us as we catapult into that next level or frequency. So so trust in yourself, trust in what you're experiencing. Know that even if you don't see the fullness of who you are, however, you can feel and you have an inclination. I mean, because you know your life, right? Like, that's another thing. Like, I'm at a point in my journey where nobody can't tell me who I am or who I'm not. Because I've been living this. Like, I've been living this life and these experiences. And I don't talk to people much about the things that I experience because it's not time yet. However, when I reflect on what I've experienced, I'm still human, right? Like I said, I got that mercurial, facts and definites and exploring thoughts, and I have to balance that out. So it comes out sometimes, right? So I'll question my spirit team, and I'm so grateful that they know me better than I know myself. So they're not offended when they share something with me. And even though I have the spiritual ammunition to know that it's true, I still question it because my logical mind has questions, right? And I'm so used to operating in my logical mind during survival, right? It was my ability to think quick, my ability to come up with solutions, my ability to rationalize things and to be optimistic that what I'm seeing, that ain't really it. So let me elevate this, right? Let me raise the frequency for it to be more positive so that I can navigate this at a higher frequency. Because if I acknowledge it for what it is, I don't really know how I'm going to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really want to operate in them lower frequencies. So they understood that about me. They understand my design from being an emanation of source. And they understand how being here on earth has affected me, right? So there are times where I question. And I'll sit with myself and I'll question myself. But then I'll answer myself, because you had this experience that bears witness to that. You've had that experience. And do you remember when so-and-so shared this with you and that person shared this with you, and that they didn't know you from a hole in the wall, and they shared these things that bear witness to what it is that you're experiencing right now. So it's like I'm able to trace the dots, right? I'm able to connect the dots. I'm able to follow the thread back to the beginning of when the seed was first planted in some cases. And I will to assist others to be able to do the same, because we have had a myriad of experiences, and the world and those around us would have us to believe that those experiences are negative, that they are low vibrational, that we should be ashamed or embarrassed about those experiences. And excuse me, the energy is potent. That is not the truth. We should not be ashamed or embarrassed for anything that we have endured. If it is that you did it out of malice or you had negative intentions, then you should be shameful. Because in order for you to learn and grow, you have to be shamed. You have to be able to see the error in your ways so that you can correct them. However, if what you did was the best decision that you can make, and you did it with a pure heart, and you didn't have any ill intentions, it was not your will to hurt or affect anybody. However, it's what you felt needed to be done. It was the best thing that you could do for your own survival. There's no need to be ashamed or embarrassed about that. There was a time where I used to direct a lot of energy to black men, because most black men have not experienced the nurturing, the compassion, the grace, and the understanding that will allow them to grow. So I cultivated a space, and I had a podcast, and it was called Black Men and Robyn. And on those episodes, I should share different principles from conversations and interactions that I had with black men, you know, throughout my everyday regular life. And I would share those principles on the podcast so other black men could benefit from them. And it wasn't just for black men, it was for anybody who resonated with them. However, my focal point was black men. And oh, okay, I had to remember where I was going. And a lot of the men that I would speak to had a past, right? And some men I found were in a space of beating themselves up. They were judging themselves for the things that they had did and the decisions that they had made and the people that they had affected. And I would do what I do to help bring them balance in their thoughts, to understand that, did you have another choice, right? Like, and if you did have another choice, what was the other choice? What were your thoughts behind making the decision that you made? You know, so we all need grace and compassion throughout this growth and development of being here on earth, because it's hard. It is challenging navigating without having any guides or examples on what it could look like, right? We have examples on what it could look like to be in one particular, you know, but we don't really have a lot of examples of what it looks like to be free, to be you, right? We have examples of what it looks like to fit into certain boxes. And I'm not knocking anybody who fits in those boxes, because perhaps that's what resonates with you. And if that's what resonates with you, I congratulate you on being successful and excelling at what resonates with you. However, that's not the path for everybody. And we really got to get to a point where we recognize that and we honor the differences in each other, right? We honor them and we encourage them. Because I don't know what seeds are in you. I don't know what expression of source that you are. And if I come along and I impose upon you what I think you should be doing, and it ends up stifling who you are and what you came here to do, that has a ripple effect. You know what I'm saying? That listen, we require grace, compassion, love, and understanding, and that is the premises that I operate from. And that reminds me of the four, the energy today, boy. The four ducks. It also represented like north, south, east, west, earth, water, fire, air, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, right? Like the four represented four different elements, four different components that come together to create one, to create a whole, an idea, a completion. It was, like I said, it was so much that was coming in concerning that communication, that message that led me here right now. And I feel like I've been speaking for a while, and I want to honor those that may be full but still want to stay, but are full, right? Trust in your unique path. Trust that everything that you have experienced, whether good, bad, ugly, distasteful, embarrassing, it all happened for a reason. It was all permitted and allowed to happen for a reason. And there are seeds, there are nuggets, there are jewels within those experiences if you would only look for them. If you would only be open to receiving them. Let go of the necessity to shield yourself, to protect yourself, to hide yourself, because it's time. It's time to be seen. It's time to be heard. It's time for you to do what you came here to do. And I'm not saying fully be, it's degrees to this. It's levels to this, right? However, whatever level that you're at right now, it will resonate with you what it is that's for you to do, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm only here to show you that there's other options on how to achieve what it is that you would like to achieve. That there are options to you choosing freedom, peace, happiness, joy, starting with you first and then emanating and exuding that outward, and that frequency being magnified and rippled all throughout creation. So if any of this resonates with you, I would love to hear what it is that stood out to you, what touched your spirit, what activated, initiated, inspired, or motivated you. And if you feel comfortable enough to share it below. If not, there will be an email address, and feel free to send me an email and I will respond to all emails. Also, check out all of the links. Check out the Builder Scroll. Check out the guide. Also, I have a visualization available to help cleanse your energy, to help ground you and root you into your body and connect you to Mother Gaia to receive what it is that will support you. And I am uploading more offerings over on Ko-fi as well. I'm going to upload a few of my still tongue drum sound activations that came in as downloads with certain frequencies. I'm going to upload them if they resonate, partake of those as well. As a reminder, everything on Ko-fi is free. It is open to donations if it resonates. However, if not, do not have any guilt for downloading what resonates for you or with you to you for free, because the goal is to make the tools available to assist you on your journey to remember it. I didn't get too much. I started it, but then I went to another direction about the Temple of Divine Remembrance. We'll get into that in another video. However, for now, I feel like the stream is complete. Energetically, I feel like it is complete. It has landed. And it is my will that, again, you receive what it is that you needed. And I look forward to the next time. Thank you if you have stayed all the way through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Know that I am proud of you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'm holding space for your evolution into remembering who you are. And I cannot wait to see you or experience the energy blueprint, the frequency output that you came here to exude. So until the next time, love, light, peace, and so much abundance.